Hey, welcome to Wake Up, the Wake Up DC tri-state area. This is our Doug and Sean podcast on mindfulness and everyday life, and what does it mean, and what are those questions, and how are we it, and where we discuss these things. And say something, Doug.
Mindfulness in everyday life. I like the theme. I'm going to try and keep that present for me as we talk.
Well, except for that our theme for today is, well, that's our ongoing theme, Doug. And by the way, I think this is our 7th podcasty attempt, but it's only the 3rd one that we think we can possibly air. So just, counting the numbers, since I'm a numbers person, I hope to get 12 of these. We do this for a year for our listening audience. But in any case, the book we're looking at today that you recommended is called Radical Honesty, so I thought we would use that as our springboard into these discussions. I feel like I'm sitting too far away from you in our lovely studio here.
It is lovely here.
Our lovely,
although it seems cold to me.
Yeah, our lovely Glen Echo studio. I'll just sit closer. Yeah, so how was that? We, Doug and I just did like a 10-minute sit before we started this podcast just now.
Was that 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow.
So how was
it?
it?
Fast. It was nice.
Okay, don't be too quiet or they might not be able to hear you. I just have to be monitoring the problems of being doing a podcast.
You don't have to lower your voice. Nobody can hear you.
I know they can hear me, Doug.
No, they can't hear you. They're all the way up there. They can't hear you. They're focused.
I don't really know what he's claiming. He's making a joke on me somehow.
No, the one other person in the house is far enough.
Yeah, her. Yes.
She can't hear you. Yes, the microphone can hear you. Yes.
I wasn't sure the microphone could hear you.
Yes. Oh, yes. Good point.
So how was that for you, Doug?
The sit?
Yeah.
It was lovely. It went by very fast. I don't sit on the cushion enough.
We're meditating. We closed our eyes for 2 minutes.
I had a lot of monkey mind, which is not uncommon, and it was very restful. I'm ready to crawl under the quilt and go to sleep. It was delightful.
Oh, well, that's not why we meditate. We don't meditate to go to sleep, but
no,
that's an interesting outcome that happens a lot. People get tired because they don't really want to go inward, so they get tired, but that's not the purpose of it.
Well, I think a lot of times you stop and you slow down in your body, and you give your body a chance to talk to you, and your body says, "Hey, I like this quiet, this slowness. I could sleep. I could take some more of this."
And it could be saying, "Hey, I like this quiet and slowness because I don't really want to be investigating anything that's going on in my body right now. I think I'll fall asleep." I'm just throwing the left field at you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of mindfulnesses, yeah. So, any particular thing alive? Just sleepiness, and then I'll tell you. What's for me?
I've got some things, some relationship things that are very alive. I have stuff going on with my son, and I just worked that a couple hours ago with my therapist. I did that from my car where I was.
Okay.
Before I left, and I have a lot of anger and frustration and pain around that, and the suggestion is, I think if I understand my therapist, who doesn't make suggestions, is to connect to my love for him and see how that might motivate me. And
I love that. That would be my suggestion. That's why I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's always my solution now.
I think there's a lot of value in it. But then what do I do with the anger?
That's what we're going to talk about in a minute. But
okay.
May I check in first?
Please.
About how it was for me when we sat?
Please.
So I was pleasantly surprised because, I was kind of doing a body scan and noticing some tightnesses, and that's the way I do it a lot, and then noticing certain areas that were tight. I don't feel like I had too much monkey mind. It was okay. I I went to the immediate future, minutes from now, as the podcast. I noticed thinking about that, and then I would let it go. But what I did notice was thinking about my girlfriend, lover, beloved, whatever we're calling her. Just a warm and fuzzy little image appeared of a little Buddha. And that brought a smile to my face, because I'm thinking of her, and I'm thinking of, she turns into a little Buddha? Like, how crazy is that? And then what it was like, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. Why is she a Buddha? I don't think so. But, then of course it was like, no, she kind of is, because I feel this warm and fuzzy meeting from her. Like, she meets me as a human. So when I think about her, which I wasn't doing in the meditation just now, I was just thinking on her, like having talked about her this morning, just touching in on it. And it was just delightful to realize that, yeah, I feel pretty good. It's kind of warm and fuzzy. She's like a little Buddha. That's, and I need to relish the fact that I can feel this way in all the deficit that I mostly have in this relationship, which feels like a lot of deficit with the absence of her presence. But I did get to talk to her for 20 minutes or half an hour this morning. And again, I will say, because she meets me, and it's not because of the things that we are for each other. Like, we're very different people. We do, like, she doesn't go on walks. She doesn't like the cold, doesn't like the winter. Like, I was just on a walk with a buddy, and she's like, well, you do this with no, we don't even, can't even get outside, because, we don't have a lot in common.
Am I correct in hearing that you've talked to them a lot on the phone this week, last couple of days? Because it used to be you didn't talk very much on the phone; you just did texting.
Yeah, she's doing a way better job of FaceTiming me more often, every other day or so. Pretty much. I don't know. I mean, it's only been like 10 days or something, but whatever.
Right.
Since last week.
But it does seem like for the moment it's a change. And are you appreciating the FaceTiming?
Oh God, yeah. It helps a lot for me. Oh, tremendously. The FaceTiming, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So, this book, Radical Honesty, you saying you were really into it, and the dude, I think his overall arching premise is that you're supposed to be honest to a fault, and that will heal our problems. And meaning, he recommends, he gives cases in here of people who had physical ailments and problems, and he'll go, well, you need to go back and tell your parents all those things you didn't tell your parents, or you need to tell your significant other all those things, and
tell them what you thought, what you did, what you were thinking about what you did, and why, and what came up for you when you did it, and and that in that radical honesty, you will. It releases and then purges what he's describing as all the ailments that we have that are related to these kinds of things. It relaxes a lot of as I hear it. Now, I haven't finished the book. In fact, I've switched from probably about 25% of the first book to reading the second book. But yeah, as I hear it, it reduces the stress of not being honest with your partner.
It's his argument, yeah.
And that when you reduce that stress on yourself, it allows more wholeness and fullness and health to enter your body.
So you agree with this premise? Now you're speaking.
I think there's a lot of validity to it.
To a person, as you know, who puts their heart on their sleeve and just pretty much shares almost anything. I'm probably one of the most radically honest person maybe you may ever encounter. Maybe, I don't know.
You're up there, yeah.
I'm pretty up there.
And I think the expression TMI came from somebody who knew you.
There you go. And yet, of course, just like I'm human, just like everyone else, there's lots of things I don't share too, right? I'm very radically honest, and I'm also suppressed in many areas and don't share many things that are real close to my heart that matter at the times that they matter. And it's something I'm constantly working through, which I call having challenging conversations. Pushing myself to have the
Right.
challenging conversations,
Right.
not step around them.
And I do too, and I think that the more I can express honestly with the relationships that matter to me, in general, the better. I think with my son specifically, that the more I can, part of the problem that's come up is I haven't been honest about what's been going on with me.
So have you had a breakthrough in this department? Had you shared this with him recently? What is that? Can you say? I'm curious how you haven't been.
Well, he and I have been going to therapy together for quite a few weeks now, and I think we will continue to do that. And I expect that I will open up even more as I get in touch with what it is that I have. I've also haven't been honest with myself.
Right. This is usually the issue, right?
So
we don't
I
know.
think I'm getting clear about what it is I haven't said to him, and I think and it's pointing me towards what I want to say.
And can you give me specifics in any way of what that is?
If we stop recording.
Well, then we're going to have to switch because we need to be more specific to give life to this story.
Right, I think it would help to have more specifics.
No, it's too vague. I don't even know what it is, but I can.
I think it would help if I can express this isn't that much more specific. Some of the pains and conflicts I have inside about some of the decisions that I have to make. I think it would help.
Now, have you in this therapy made some of those breaks? Have you shared some of those things?
Not with him.
Okay, so you haven't done it yet.
Somewhat with him, but I intend to do more. It's my thought that I need to and will do more sharing with him.
Okay, so I'm going to jump ahead because my story, and then jump back because my story, the next chapter, I'm halfway through this book, and the section I just got through is about anger. And similarly to his idea about honesty, he has this thesis that anger is, again, something that you should let out directly at the person. And I beg to differ on this because the story I was going to share with you about my partner happened because I did just that. I let out anger, not at her, not about her specifically.
Not directed at her.
Not directed at her. And this guy would say, when I read these chapters, this section, I was all of a sudden realized that. So after I had this incident with my partner, and it was really bad. It was the worst fight we've ever had, or worst altercation we've had. It's because I let out anger, and she shut down. And for me, we were unable to fix the rift within the time that I was with her until the next morning. So for me, it was. We didn't fix it that evening, and that was very difficult for me because when she shuts down, she doesn't. Well, up to this moment, she had always reached back. We'd always managed to come to a good place again, but in this case, she was incapable of it, and of course, it's on me for expressing the anger. So I would beg to differ with this Brad Blanton Radical Honesty book because, first off, I don't believe in his notion. First off. I don't agree with this concept. Go ahead.
Let's take his notion to the full extent. You expressed honestly with some anger and frustration, and she did not. She did not. What I heard you say is she did not come back and express honestly with you. But I think if
she shut down, it shut her down.
All right. Yeah, but had she practiced radical honesty,
okay,
and and expressed what was going on for her, then is it possible
she did. She said
your connection could have deepened.
No, well, she did. So right after it happened, so I could tell you why it happened, but do you think it's important or not? No, you don't.
I don't know, and I have an example that I can share.
Okay, I can give you why I got upset, but I guess we don't need to. It had to do with her husband, and then I had a talk, which brings me back to the radical honesty part. Let's circle back to the beginning part. But when I did the outburst, expressing anger that wasn't directly about her, it was about her husband, intruding on her precious time is what it was actually. And I reached out to her. We were driving in a car, and we were stuck we were also in a very tense situation because we were leaving a parking lot that was jam-packed because we just left a show. So we were moving not at all for 10 minutes, literally not moving. And I reached over to touch her a couple times because this is just my habit in these 8 months at that point. And she took my hand off and she said, "That doesn't help right now. You can't touch me. I don't want, that doesn't help me." So she was able to say what helped her in the moment. Mm-hmm. That did not help her.
Okay.
That was her truth at the moment. Basically, she shut down. There was no other.
I've had my partner tell me, "Don't touch me right now."
Yeah, because she doesn't feel safe now that I've had an outburst.
I haven't analyzed why she doesn't want to touch it. I assume it has something to do with her need for safety and self-connection.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then when we talked about it, when we got home, I asked her if I could put music on, because that I knew would calm me. So that was my mindful awareness to what would work for me. I'm just sharing. That's the process. The first thing was I reached to her. That didn't work because she wasn't allowing that. So then I asked for music. She said, "Fine, put music on." That helped calm me. We got back to the house and we had a discussion about it. And she was able to say, not much. It was really hard. It was a really hard evening. It just, there was just more triggered emotional states.
Are you wishing you had not expressed honestly?
Well, the irony is, after reading a chapter, so the next day, I don't know if she said it that evening. I think it was when we calmed down the next day or two. She said to me, "I think you were angry at me." And I denied. Now, I was like, well, maybe. I was like, well, like questioning. And then
so she took it personally.
She says, "I think maybe you were also angry at me. You're angry at me." And I said, well, okay, I don't know. I don't think so, but I'll think about that. But then when I read this chapters, it made it clear that it's true that she was right, that I was angry at her as well, because she's co-creating that with her husband. So she's participating, so I'm equally as angry at her. It's just the scapegoat. This is how anger works. It's so much easier for us to... My concern about anger in this point in my life, because I've been very angry. I was like born angry, actually, kind of. I used to talk about myself. So I have anger issues, whatever. But I don't have the issues in that I let it out. Like I'm not one of these people that suppress, or have shame, or, I try to experience my experiences and my emotions and let them out, let them happen. I'm losing track of what I was saying. So I just don't want to put that on other people. I don't want to hurt people. So I want to let it out. So my thinking is you let it out, but you don't direct it at them. So the easiest thing is to throw the husband under the bus. The husband was instigating. I mean, there was co-created. Her and the trigger was.
So your anger was not directed at her, but she took it as to include her, and you may have agreed. I still don't. You're expressing anger. If she got felt, did you hit her physically?
Of course not, Doug.
All right, so you're talking about words. So she heard these words as painful and hurtful. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely.
And
shameful, and she was ashamed.
To some degree, that has to do with how she hears it, and what she does with the material. If she doesn't, let's not take all the power away from her. If she decides to hear it as, "Oh, that's just not true," then that probably wouldn't feel good to you, but then it's not painful for her. Or she could hear it as, "Oh, Sean felt some pain when these things happened. This is Sean's experience. Oh my, let me hear what's going on with her." For her to feel pain around it, to some degree, has to do with how she hears. To a large degree, has to do with how she hears it.
Well, I think this yelling alone is a trigger for her. Okay, just the raise. She's not somehow.
You raised your voice. And
yes. Now, my last girlfriend, my ex, we had loud fights, and it never stressed the relationship.
That's part of my point.
It never.
How the person hears it and responds to it depends on how it on
This
him.
almost broke us up. It felt like she was going to go home.
She said she didn't say that later, did she?
Oh, she wanted to go, and then she wanted to stay,
go,
but
she didn't feel like it was breaking you up. She was always connected. She was still in love.
No, oh no, she was afraid that if she went home, it would break us up. She was because she has a commitment to be with me once a week, and she felt like, oh, if I'm running, you're going to think I'm running. And I was like, no, sweetie, run. Like, you choose what works best for you. I was trying to be as supportive of her doing what she needed to do to take care of herself. And I was telling her, it's going to change. What you're feeling isn't real. It's not. It doesn't mean any particular thing. I'm going to be here. It's still going to be here, our relationship tomorrow. Whether you stay, whether you go. I was trying to offer her freedom of choice. And she ended up staying. And that staying was very difficult for me because she was still so triggered that she couldn't reach back to me. So it's still very much a future thing I look forward to, being able to do it again and see how we can work it out. Because, that was hard for me to be in the bed with her, unable to touch her at all because she was incapable of reaching back. She was at least making her body and mind stay with me, but incapable of that. So that's hard for me. And the book is saying, I actually, it made me aware of the fact that I did what people typically do. I threw the husband under the bus. The husband was part of it, but I also was angry at her. And so in order to protect her and to release the energy myself, I had to just direct it at him so I could feel like I was ranting, and this isn't about you sitting next to me. This is about this other person, and please allow this outburst to happen because I don't like to suppress my emotional states because then they build into resentments or whatever.
Can I offer an example? Which is a real big celebration for me.
Okay, yes, let's hear it.
Yesterday, I came over here to my roommate's house, and I told them that I had phone calls and Zoom calls to make. I had quite a few of them. They were overlapping, and I would be off around 8. And I got off around 8:15, 8:20, and I was looking forward to connecting with them, and they had left the house. And I had no idea they were going to leave and had left. And I checked my phone to see if there were any messages, and there weren't. And I called them, called their cell, and there was no answer. And I was a little frustrated and upset. And I was like, well, if I'd known they weren't going to be here tonight, I would have done something else, quite possibly.
Yeah.
Which would have involved not coming over.
Yeah, you're kind of pissed, right?
And I was kind of pissed.
Yeah.
And when they came, and they did text me, fortunately, about a half hour later, or some point within the hour, saying that they'd gone over to a friend's for dinner, and they came in around 11, and a little before 11. And my temptation was not to express anger, at least not to express it that night.
Okay.
And that we talked a little bit, and then I did express that I was frustrated and angry, and they started to get, as I experienced the situation, defensive. And I said, it's not about you. What I really would like, if you could take some feeling needs guests for what's going on with me.
Okay. Wow.
And
now, did you say you were angry?
Yeah.
You said to her you were angry.
I said I was angry and upset, and that this bothered me, and that I had been away for a long time, and I'd wanted to connect with them for several days, and I'm going to go away again, not in a couple weeks, and I'd wanted to spend some time with them, and that's why I was here, and that I had been back at my house and I thought that, oh, when am I going to spend time here? And I said, well, not tonight. I need to go back and do these Zoom calls. I don't have my laptops. But, and had I known that they had forgotten, which is not uncommon. They sometimes forget that they had made arrangements. And I think they felt uncomfortable or not. They weren't happy that they had forgotten and not told me. That was not intentional.
Did she reflect what was going on with you, like you asked?
But they took a feeling needs guess of me, and
what did she say?
It didn't quite land accurately, but it helped me to connect to what my true needs.
And what was that? What did they say, and what did
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
But
Okay.
but my point is that afterwards I felt so much lighter and easier and connected, and I was able to let it go and not carry it, and it just my anger, after I expressed it, it was like it was gone, and we were able to relate the rest of the evening, and at some point I asked them, is there anything they wanted to talk about or wanted empathy on, and we did that, but it was so unusual. And I said, to me, the practice, the beauty is that I expressed myself close to honestly, and I felt heard and understood. And normally I would not have said anything. I would have stuffed it, and I would have carried it for years.
Okay, so you didn't carry this one. This one didn't get latched on to the other ones.
It was a true celebration.
And you didn't really actually express anger you just intellectualized the anger. You're in your head about it when you said that. You weren't in the anger itself. Like, how was the anger itself expressed? I think of it as like body, feeling.
Was I yelling and screaming?
Right, you weren't. You just were.
I said I was angry. I think you could hear anger in my tone. I don't think I was yelling and screaming, but I think you could hear anger and pain and confusion and frustration. I think you could sense some of that in my tone.
Could you? Because you often say you don't express it, like you stuff it and you're not expressive. So could you feel it in your body?
Yes.
You felt it, and you felt it coming out.
Yes. Yes, I did.
Because this is one of your things. You don't.
Yeah,
often.
I don't express. Right.
Because you don't want to hurt people. I'm the other way around. I'm like,
right.
I'll express.
Right.
I'm like, why are you hurting?
And I asked them, look, don't make. I said, look, if it were me, I would try to make it. I would make it about me. Okay, if I were listening, I said, I don't blame you for doing that. I get it. You're going to try to say but it's not about you doing anything wrong. I said the tendency is to hear it that way. But as much as you can, I don't want you to do that. I'd like you to take a feeling needs guess for me. And they were able to make that switch and take the feeling needs guess. It wasn't, I mean, I think they may have struggled some.
They didn't say, you're feeling frustrated and angry because I wasn't here when you expected me to be here.
It wasn't exactly that, but they struggled with the wording. It wasn't one of the best guesses. But it was helpful enough for me.
Did it flipped it for you?
That allowed me to be heard and express and let go of it.
That's amazing. That's great.
I thought it was a great.
It's a great moment.
Yeah,
celebration.
I thought so. I celebrated with my therapist this afternoon.
Fantastic, Doug.
I thought it was great.
I love that. And as you were saying that, can I switch back?
Yes, please.
Because as you were sharing that story, I was thinking, okay, so in my case, the problem is I look at it like in my head versus in my body versus in my head.
I can relate to that language.
So since it's living in my body and it's coming out as anger because I'm letting it pass through me like a storm.
Mm-hmm.
But as I hear you speaking, the storm should have my intellect would glom on and lower it. My head would lower it, mindfulness, my awareness, and go, hey, I'm really angry right now. I'm needing just intimacy with you, and this feels like intrusion from your husband is texting right now, and I can't. It's like bottled in me, and I'm sorry, I'm letting this out.
And
right
it's
now.
true. Yeah, I'm very upset.
Like I would get. It would be big.
And
like
the fact is, in my judgment, having knowing the story, the anger is largely about you, even though somebody else is doing something. It's triggering a lot of other issues on you. All this issue about, these masculine, feminine, all these other triggers that you carry are in the back there getting triggered and confused. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, because I understand intellectually that she's just doing what she said she would do. Because weeks and months ago she said, you can call me anytime, honey, to the husband. And you can call me anytime, Sean, to me. And, that it's open door both ways at any time. So she's just responding to the guy because he's like, hey, how's the concert? How's the? And to me, he's intruding on our intimate.
And you're stuck in traffic. You're not going anywhere, and she's just.
Yeah,
texting.
no, I intellectually understand. It's just that we had done a special
but
thing.
At a certain level, you're upset, and I understand the upsetness. I can relate to that.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's do it again. So I would just be like, like, oh God, I'm really upset right now. Please don't take this personally. I don't know. Would that be a stupid thing to say? Because you just know letting it out with somebody that's that fragile. And I want to. Okay, so I want to bring it down. Like, okay, look.
Let me play you. You play them.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm really upset when I see you doing this. Oh my gosh, I'm really triggered and upset. This is really bothering me. Look, I want to let it out. I want to express this as much as you can. I do want you to hear that this is about me, and I just want to be heard. I'm not at the moment, maybe later. The moment, I'm not trying to say you're doing anything wrong. But can you just hear what's going on with me right now, because I'm about to blow my damn top. Can I just tell you?
Go ahead.
Okay. So when I see you texting with that person who has you 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and it's just my little time with you, I get angry and upset because this is my time with you, and I don't want to share, and I want you to myself. I want your attention and your focus for myself, and I'm really angry that they are interrupting our time. It feels, in fact, a male term would say, it feels like cock blocking to me.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? And
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
Can you tell me what you heard me say? Or the other request would be, could you take a feeling needs guest? But they don't know feeling needs guest language, your friend.
Right.
But can you tell me what you heard me say?
You feel cock blocked. You're angry and you want time with me.
Yeah, I want your time and attention. I want all of it, as much as I can get. That's right now. And I don't want them interrupting, because you're gonna go back to them in 12 hours. You'll be with them, and you were with them. You know, you're going to be with them
more
all
like
week.
8 hours.
Whatever.
10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you just hear that? And can you hear that I'm angry? I'm angry because I want time with you, because you matter to me. Can you hear that? It's about.
Yeah. I don't know if I could do that, Doug. So I'm trying to do that. Let me see.
I hear you.
Let me see. No, that's well done. Your anger, it was laughable because it was so not angry. It was so just like Mr. Rogers. You're like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Like,
I thought I was. I thought
you're
I
like,
had anger.
I'm really angry, and I'm really angry, and
You didn't hear anger energy in the tone? It felt that way
just
to me.
teeniest bit, Doug. It's just like my talking is more angry than your anger. Like, I just talk and I sound angry to people. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, come on. It's like Mr. Rogers. Like, okay, but I hear you. And then that was beautiful, and I appreciate that. And then moving on from that, I guess I would say to the next level was that the reason why I exploded was because I hadn't been radically honest with the husband for the past month and a half, and things had built up in me over the Christmas holidays. So then it occurred to me when I processed that afterward with my therapist, which is often you and whatever, and my Sangha and whatever else people, my friends, because I use a lot of outlets to process my shit. In any case, I realized that I needed to be radically honest with the husband, okay? Because I was building up resentment, and I just refused to be exploding over resentments with the husband because I'm not sharing with the husband on my beloved woman that I don't want to be blowing up on. So then we had a talk. She accommodated. I think it was the very next day she had me over for dinner. And we had a talk, the three of us, and I had written out all the points of the things that I had brushed under the rug, because I had decided I'm going to try that, not doing radical honesty. So I did the radical honesty. I did the points that happened over Christmas, and the things that happened. A little piece of art I did disappeared, and just this little slights, and the texting, and the little love notes he sent her, and usurping my time. And honestly, I haven't been with a dude since. That was 5 weeks ago. So I do not think this is working.
Well,
I do not think radical honesty is working.
When you did it, you felt better afterwards.
Okay, sure. So it's about how we feel.
It's about you. You're doing it for yourself.
It's like my brother's text last night. I won't mention that.
A little bit,
You know,
yes.
like, I feel better. It's like,
yeah, right.
Like,
yes,
you
exactly.
do? It's like
right.
a small child. Like, oh, you do? You got it out and you feel better. Wow. Seriously?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah,
but I'm not doing it for that purpose. I mean, I'm not doing it for the.
and
well, I am doing it to feel better.
And they have stopped doing the behavior that you didn't like.
Okay, that's fair.
But so you felt better afterwards, and they stopped doing the behavior you didn't like. What
Now,
I also hear you saying is that your connection with this person is still
the same or
you
worse.
don't feel very connected, and you feel distant from this.
Totally.
Person.
Yes, I feel like have not connected since I did it.
Well, you weren't connected before you did it either.
No, we weren't because of this resentments that had built up that I hadn't shared. So we weren't really connecting. We weren't not connecting. There's a little bit of connection. It was coming and going. It was more coming and going.
There was a while before all this when you did feel more connection with them.
Yeah, before all these things started happening around the holidays.
Yeah.
That were hurtful. Yeah. So you're saying now what? That's more in my head than in the reality? Like you're saying that's not reality, that I don't feel connected?
No, I'm saying...
My partner, now I'm calling her my partner.
There were two advantages and that you felt better after you expressed honestly, and the behavior that was triggering you changed. All right, pluses. Negative is that your connection with this person is not very good, and it wasn't good before that, and it's not good after that. And that you're wondering if speaking honestly had something to do with harming the connection between the two of you. I don't know. I mean,
right, because he's also now losing his job, and so everybody's stressed. We're trying to
take two, as Richard says with me, my therapist. You know, the connection with you, for it to heal, is going to eventually take the two of you. You can't heal it by yourself.
Right.
So at some level, the other person, if they don't want to, at some level, they're going to have to want it to heal or contribute to the healing.
So I'm leaning into that now. That's my intention now. And as a matter of fact, the past week, so as of Monday, I started doing metta, loving kindness, and rather than for myself, I was doing it directly to him. And that was an interesting experience because I mostly these past 2 years have been seriously giving myself metta, which is loving kindness practices of, I'm perfect the way I am. I'm loved even though I'm imperfect human. I mess up. Like, I am still completely loved. Like all the things I would want to hear. So I was giving that to him. Okay. And
when you do that, you don't start with yourself and then shift to the other. You go straight to the other.
It's a good question.
I always start with myself and end with myself.
Yeah, next time I'll do it that way. It was harder. It was hard. It was not easy. It was not easy, and so that was clear. Like it was just funny to be sending out loving kindness to him. I hope you feel ease. I hope you feel well and have everything you want. Find the job. Of course, I want all these things for him because it will help the family anyway. So it's not as if they're that hard to wish for.
And they might be, depending on yes.
But it was kind of interesting in that it worked in that when I was doing it, it did bring goodwill, right?
Supposedly, it could somehow shift things in the universe between the two of you, but
I don't know. Well, all I'm saying is,
to see.
It actually, I'm going to continue this practice, until I can fix the rift between he and I, and cool. I'm going to continue it as a discipline because it did switch how I felt about how I was holding him inside of me, right? Like not as as you like to call it, the enemy. What do you call him?
Enemy image.
He's the enemy image, and my babe is like, no, he's not, and everything's fine, and she always holds the container of the both of us. That's why she's like a Buddha to me. She just holds the container of the both of us. It's okay. Like, it's okay. It's I'm included. He's included. We're all included. So if I trust that, of course, I think my conscientious, judgmental ego self says she's got it backward and she's in denial and she doesn't realize, right? I immediately go to denial. Oh, she just doesn't know. She's not in touch with this dude at all. She has no idea that, I'm sorry, but I'm a threat to his life. I exist as a threat. But she always holds it as, no, you're not a threat. He's not a threat to you. You're not a threat to him. That's how she's like the Buddha, you think? If I believe container.
I think it's possible that it could be held that way. I know of someone very close to me who tries and holds the two people that way. I think it's also possible that it cannot be held that way, or it can shift. And I think all of it is sort of okay.
Yes, but it behooves me, as I continue to live it. I want this year, I've been doing a lot of reflection. It's still the early new year. I did a vision board. I have the 3 words that came to, I meditated and 2 words came to me. And then when I did the vision board, a 3rd word came that are my words for the year. Have we talked about this? Not on here.
I think you have.
Maybe not on here.
Not on this podcast.
Trust is one. The first 2 that came to me was curiosity, and so questioning when I get upset, curiosity for what's really going on, asking what the other person might be thinking or needing, flipping it by being curious. And then the second word came to me was harmony versus balance, because I'm always seeking balance. I'm not throwing balance out. That will never be thrown out. But as a very passionate human that feels extremes and want to experience life, all of the rainbow of lives, I want to have space for the extremes, my anger, my sadness, the hardship, the beauty, and the bliss. So harmony was the word that came, because in harmony it includes the extremes, okay? And then when I did my vision board, it was trust is what came up. I'm sorry, I'm also looking through my notes to try to find
You're
a closing.
Texting with your other lover.
No, yeah, he thinks he's looking at me. He's not helping me fill the air.
Bringing all your focus and attention to
I'm
you.
trying. I didn't come totally prepared. Ha ha ha. Per usual, I was, on something else when I came.
Prepared.
I didn't bring my notebook, so I don't have a poem, and that's why I'm looking. But anyway, for the wrap up. So yeah, any other thoughts on all of these things, Doug? While I'm looking.
I may have some poems nearby. Where is that? I went to a memorial service, and there were some lovely poems on the. Oh, I've got some right here. With a poem. I can end with some words.
We're not at the end yet, but yes, I've got some too.
When you're ready. Oh, okay. Never mind. I won't contribute any poetry.
No, you can contribute poetry. I'll contribute poetry. So anyway, yes, what do you want to share about this? You went to a funeral. Not anger. That's true.
And there were some poetry in the memorial service. Some things in the program that I could share.
Okay. Great for our wrap up. So we're coming up on the hour. We still have a good few minutes left to dive into this further. So what do we think then? Is radical honesty a great sort of tool, and
I think he's
this
on to
anger
something.
thing?
I think there are some things he expresses. He's out there. I mean, the guy is clearly out there, and I'm not sure. As someone who wrote in the foreword of the second book said, look, I don't agree with everything that Brad Planton says, and he wouldn't expect me to either. Having said that, I think there's a lot of validity to what he's pointing at.
Yeah, so my babe would say, she says to me often things like, you're not paying attention to the listener. You're not caring for, I forget her exact words, I'm paraphrasing them, but you're not caring for the listener. So he doesn't care for the listener at all in this whole thing about just express your anger to the person directly. And that if you're not, you're not being authentic, you're not expressing it, it's still going to hang around and bite you in the butt in the future.
Right.
So he's like, you got to. So that's why I wanted to share with my woman that, yeah, I was angry at her, and we had a slight discussion earlier this week about it, but you do need to care. Like your example, I need to tone down. I do need to put a cap on this energy.
Yes, and I think there
and get a hold, like all the reins on the horse.
I think there may be some validity to your calling me. My way I'm hearing it is that I'm expressing anger like a wimp, and I think there may be some legitimacy to that. There may be some level at which I still am not completely connecting to the anger energy within me, and getting it out. There may be,
because I don't think this shit is personal. I don't think it's that hard. It's interesting to me. I think it's a boundary issue. Now I know we're opening another can of worms, but I think it's a boundary issue when people get shut down. I mean, she's just the opposite of me. She's fragile in ways that I'm like, people's anger.
She's strong in ways
that I'm not,
and in ways that you're not, and she's
absolutely.
fragile in other ways.
Absolutely. And I want to care for her.
That's common I think that's true for you too. You're strong in some ways and fragile in others.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And I'm pretty radically honest, and yet I'm shut down in many, many ways where I can't really open my mouth when things really matter. It's true, and she can see it. She knows it. But I want to be able to control it, tone it down, and then express it in, like you're saying, feelings and needs. Like right now, I'm furious, and I'm needing this, and can you just hear me? I'm just expressing. Please don't take this personally, even though your actions are upsetting me. But how did you put it? Talk about that later. Put it aside.
It's so easy when someone expresses anger towards you to take it in, particularly if it's somebody you care about, and think that I fucked up. What did I do wrong? I messed up.
That's what she feels.
And to blame ourselves.
Right.
I do it. Most of us do it. Having said that, it's much healthier for us if we can hear it. That's your anger. Whatever you're angry about is about you. This is what's the guy? The NVC guy.
Oh, Rosenberg.
Rosenberg is very clear. Whenever anybody is saying something and yelling and upset with you, don't hear it about you.
It's about
them.
Yeah.
It's always about them.
Yeah, right.
And
no, that's our practice.
And that's very hard to do, though. Especially when they're pointing at us and it's something we did or said or whatever, and we go, "Yeah, I did say."
And I have to throw in on left field. She actually said things that my ex would do. I don't mean to compare it, but and you did that in front of other people. Other people could see it, like bringing in the shame. We were in a car, and so when that happens, I just had to throw it in because it hurts. It hurts like, oh my God, and now I've shamed us, and I did this thing, and God forbid.
That's not true.
Other people could hear, like she could hear. It's like people were walking by into their cars and could hear me yelling at her, and she's cowering.
If she feels shame, that's on her. That's because that's how she's hearing it. I have a partner who's worried about what other people hear as well, and what other people think, and it's like, fine, but that's about you. There's a level at which it's freeing. This is what Brad's trying to say: is fuck other people.
I
Be
know
yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, and the minute we start to restrain ourselves because we're worried about what other people think.
But we need to care for the listener, or it doesn't go anywhere.
Well, you're talking about as much as we can practice Buddhist right speech.
Yeah, wise action.
Wise
effort.
We can practice wise speech. It helps the listener hear it. As much as I can practice NVC. It helps the listener hear it. On the other hand, to the degree that I use unwise speech, even practicing wise speech, the listener may take it on as it's about them and take it personally.
Yeah.
The listener has control with how they receive it.
Right. That's why being radically honest, I don't agree with his thesis, because you can't. This is what I learned in nonviolent communication. You can't just share stuff. You can, but nobody's going to hear it if they can't hear it. They're not going to hear it, and that's why people stop, and we stop reaching because you can't hear it.
Then you find yourselves in a community with people with whom you can express and communicate, who want to hear it and invite hearing it. And that's what he talks about, is find yourself in a community with people who want to hear you, what's really alive for you and what's going on.
And that's why we give it to ourselves in Meta, loving kindness. We hear ourselves say all the horrible, shitty things we need to say, and we give ourselves loving, unconditional love for that.
In ACA, we try to parent our parts, which includes parenting, loving, nurturing, parenting, our critical point parent, the part of us that's critical and judgmental.
Right.
We try to take care of that part and as well.
Right. So, okay. So any last minute wrap up thoughts about it? I don't know. I guess to say, we think he's got something to say, and I think it's an art form. Life is an art form, and we have to, figure out the best ways to do these things, and it's not easy, and it takes effort and consciousness and mindfulness and all these practices to do it in ways that we can care for the people that we love.
And caring for ourselves means expressing ourselves and not holding it in and letting it out. And if you can do it wisely, great. And if you can't do it wisely, oops. And you can quote me. That can be a Doug. If you do it wisely, great. And if you can't do it wisely, oops. Frederick Buechner quotes,
Okay.
in the end, it's not what you do or say that matters, but how you love.
Aw, and that's your poem?
That's my quote. That's. I have others, but I'm going to leave it at that. Yes.
I'm going to say it one more time.
In the end, it's not what you do or say that matters, but how you love.
I know. That's why I love, when I thought of her today. She's just like this little Buddha floating. She's little.
And you love the way she loves.
Uh-huh. I do. Well, I don't have a pertinent quote like that. I have a poem that I pulled up, just a rando poem by Mary Oliver. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate, give in to it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or powers in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. Oh, Mary Oliver, you are so good. It is not meant to be a crumb. I wholeheartedly believe in that one. That's why I read it.
Cool.
But that incorporates all the angers and horrible things. So that's our poem. We're about to wrap it up, and we will wrap it up by saying a little meta, Doug. What are we saying?
I was trying to reach for it just before you got there.
I know I did it in reverse order.
May
Here and then the poem.
May we be free from suffering.
Okay. May we be free from suffering.
May we be safe from harm.
May we be safe from harm.
May we take care of ourselves with gentle, loving ease.
May we and all beings take care of themselves with gentle, loving ease, including the man that irks me at times.
Talking about me?
No.
I know.
What else?
I can let it rest there.
And may we love ourselves unconditionally with gentle, loving, beautiful, unconditional kindness, fulfilling all of the needs that we would want for ourselves and others.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay. Till next time, people. We will meet again. You will hear us once more, we hope. All right. Have a great time. Till the next pod. Bye. Doug.
Bye.